Hello and welcome to the £1.4 million McLaren Elva, the latest member of McLaren's Ultimate Series. And if you're one of those people that's sitting at home screaming at your screen saying, oh no, not another limited run multi-million pound hypercar, well, spare a thought for those poor confused billionaires that have to choose between these things. What is it? Well, first and foremost, it is the lightest road car that McLaren has ever made. But more importantly, you'll notice there's something missing. The windscreen, quite a fundamental component that is. And I've got to say from the get-go that I've never really been a huge fan of these screenless speedsters, stuff like the SLR Sterling Moss, the Ferrari Monza. Never really got them, if I'm honest. They're better for perving on in your garage than actually driving out on the road, because you get your teeth full of bugs and pigeons in your hair, don't you? But McLaren's come up with a solution that might make this type of car actually usable. It's very clever indeed. And it's this thing here. It's called the AAMS, the ARMS, or the Active Air Management System. And basically it's as simple as this. This strip that you can see here is a deflector. Now, above 30 miles an hour, that will pop up to 15 centimetres, proud of the bodywork. What happens is the air is fed into the front of the car. That feeds out of these veins here and is sent back the direction it came. That meets the air that's been deflected by the deflector, and that airstream then curves right over the top of the canopy, the driver and the passenger, creating what McLaren calls a bubble of calm. I'm told it does its best work up to about 70 miles an hour. Above that, it still works, but you probably want to wear a helmet, because this thing, it will deflect water, it will deflect bugs, but it probably won't deflect a stone that's been flicked up from the car in front. Right, numbers, we need to talk about those. Weight, it is going to be lighter than the 1,198 kilo McLaren Senna. They haven't put an exact number on it, but lighter than the Senna. It's also more powerful than the Senna, because the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 back here has 804 brake horsepower, which is quite a lot. So you get 0 to 62 in under 3 seconds. You get 0 to 124 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds. And just to give you a bit of context, 6.7 seconds, that's where the McLaren F1 does 0 to 100 in. And in that car, you're not using your face as an air brake. Speaking of air brakes, coming around the back, this entire section right across the back here, that is the active rear wing, which pops up to various levels depending on how much downforce you need, how much braking assistance you need. Then, right in the middle of the rear end, we have 4 exhaust pipes. But the idea, I've been told, is that when you put 2 tailpipes close together, it accentuates the high notes, if you like. And then when you place these 2 a bit further apart, it accentuates the low notes, the bassy tones. And by placing these here pointing upwards, that sound travels better to the driver and passenger, whereas these 2 bounce off the road surface, acting like subwoofers, effectively. Of course, it could all be complete rubbish. Either way, it looks incredible. This surround here is 3D printed titanium, and I have to say the rear end of the Elva is probably its best angle, isn't it? It's quite something to behold, especially that incredible rear diffuser along the bottom. Completely flat floor on this car, of course, because you can't be getting all your downforce from up here when you don't have a windscreen and you don't have a roof. So it's the underside of the car that needs to deliver the downforce that this car needs to stick it to the floor. And while I'm here, I just have to mention how few pieces of carbon actually make up the bodywork of this car. It's absolutely sensational. Around the front of that car, the entire wraparound section is 1 piece of carbon. Below the doors here, this section that runs along and then sweeps up past this intake and right across, halfway across the back of the car, is 1 piece of carbon. Same on the other side. Absolutely fantastic. That's where your money goes. Come on, let's have a look inside. Right, now I'm told the actual entry process on the finished prototype, this is just a model, is actually going to be a lot easier than this. There's 2 things that will help you out when this car is delivered to your driveway. Firstly, the instrument panel and the steering wheel move together. So when you want to get in, they move away from you into this indent in the dash in front of you here. And secondly, the seats have been designed with particularly short squabs, so you don't get masses of leg support, but what it does do is free up the floor space in front of the seat. So effectively you can stand up on it before you sit down, which is all very handy. And now I'm in here, this is actually quite different to any other McLaren. The first thing you'll notice is that the outside body colour flows over the doors and into the car. It's all about making the outside and the inside of the car feel as one. And secondly, well, it's completely minimalist, this interior. You've got this screen floating in the middle of the dash here. You've got this skinny centre console with your gearbox controls down here. But actually, your active controls up here for the handling, for the powertrain, they're normally down here on most McLarens, but they've been moved up onto the instrument display, onto these little dials up here. And the steering wheel, just completely clear, leather and carbon fibre. What else can I tell you? Well, the seating position is actually properly reclined, more reclined than in most McLarens, it feels like, probably to keep you low and out of the airstream in front of you. But the view out of this car is utterly spectacular. No A-pillars, no dirty glass in front of you, just a pure, unimpeded view of the edges of the bonnet and whatever's in front of you. There is also an optional sound system. Of course, there's no point in just slapping some speakers on the doors because the sound waves are just going to get blown out the back. Instead, they've put the speakers here. 2 speakers, one behind the head of the driver and the passenger. It's a bit like Mercedes has its air scarf system that blows warm air down the back of your neck. McLaren has the sound scarf. Also, aircon. Again, no point in sticking vents up here on the dash because it's just going to get blown away and do no good whatsoever. Instead, the vents are all down here by your knees, so you get this warm breeze coming up past your armpits and your ears. So basically, I could be in this car, cruising at 70 miles an hour, no windscreen, unimpeded by the airflow, in a bubble of calm, listening to my tunes and being toasted by the aircon system. It's total luxury. It's a world away from the car that this car pays tribute to, which is the McLaren Elva Mark I race car that Bruce McLaren designed back in the 60s. This is luxury. To finish, let's return to the price. 1.4 something million pounds. But McLaren is only going to build 399 of these cars, which is 101 less than Ferrari is building of the Monza. But let's be realistic. By the time McLaren's special ops customization division has got its mitts on you, you're clearly going to be spending more than 1.4 on your Elva. Oh, those poor billionaires.